Hello and welcome back to the Colorado Color Company YouTube channel. Alright, today we're going to be making a full color dichroic slide. Here I have an odd of some watermelon dichroic tubing. You can see it's a little tapered. Some of the ends have some uneven cuts, so I'm just going to take this and wipe the ends so they're nice and square so I can attach a blow tube to them. When doing this, it's important just to get what you want to remove hot, and then you just wipe it right off of there. So now I'm going to attach a 12/7 blow tube. This is probably the most common handle size I use. It's usually 12/7 or 9/5 are the two that I keep on my bench. Gonna jump down to the roller and just make sure this connection is straight. And I'm straightening in the back here where it's glowing obviously and attached to the handle. And then as it kind of sets up, I'm going to come and I'm going to straighten the front side of it so that the whole piece of tubing is aligned with the blow tube. And you can see that odd piece there is going to need a little more work on the other side here, so I'm just going to wipe this side. You can see there I just got what I wanted to remove hot, and I'm going to wipe it right off. Just takes a sec. It'll make your seal a lot better. Things will go a lot smoother if you can just wipe that right off just a little bit. So here I'm adding the second handle. Usually I like to use the same size handles on each side just so when you're rotating the glass in your hand, you get the same feel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stretch out a little piece down to about 12/7 that is going to become the glass joint that will fit into the piece, into the 14 mil female joint. And the key to not burning up this dichroic is just not getting it white hot. You got to take it to that point where it's moving. This video doesn't show great the true white hot, but you can see there it's not quite ripping, it's an orange glow. If you take it all the way to the white sloppy hot, it's going to burn up the dichroic, although the CBS dichroic is pretty bulletproof. And I did choose the Herbie today to work on. They're a little easier on the dichroic. They have a little less thrust than a GTT. So now I'm just going to remove that handle. And you can see there I have that little 12/7 stub kind of prepped out. And you really want to round this out and clean it up. See how it's got a little pigtail? I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to round that bottom perfectly out so it has a nice even wall weight. Because when you get it hot and you go to blow this into the tool, if you have uneven wall weights in there, it's going to be no good. So you want to start with nice even wall weight. What I'm kind of doing there with the marver is pulling some heat out of the sidewall and leaving the heat just in the tip so I can round it out. And you can see there I have a nice little round bottom on the blank to then go into the Griffin glass tool 14. Oh, there I'm just doing a little check to make sure it fits. Like to go just a little skinnier so everything fits in there. I have been using a little bit of wax in this tool. Allows me to spin it a little bit more and not scratch the glass. If you really go in here and wrench it back and forth and slide it around, you will end up with some scratches in your joint. But a little bit of wax will help that. So what I'm doing here is heating the exact amount that I want to go in the tool. This is really important. If you heat too much, you're gonna get a bulb above the tool that is gonna hit the lip of your joint and it's not gonna fit. So there, I'm going vertically. I noticed in Scott Griffin's YouTube video, he does it horizontally with a blow tube. I tried that. This is just how I've been doing them. Everybody's a little different. This works for me, but you can see there, got the job done just the same. There I'm using a 14 mil joint to just check the fit, see how it's doing. It wasn't perfect, so I'm going to go back in and give it just one more little adjustment. That 14 mil joint is just the thinnest thing I could find. I noticed the nicer joints actually are thicker and are prone to cracking more. For some reason, I've had that one on my bench for doing this for a long time, and it hasn't cracked. I go cold sometimes right on to see if it fits. Great little super thin Chinese joint. So kind of behind the bench there, but giving it one last big puff, and you can see my heat base is all the way in the tool. Oh, there's a little check with that 14 mil glass joint I was talking about. So here I'm going to pick out and attach a 9.5 blow tube to just the very bottom of this joint. This has got to be a really delicate seal. You don't want to disrupt the line you've set or the outer wall you've set that fits into that joint. So I'm just heating the tip, not getting up around on the walls at all. So here I've pulled all the glass out of the bottom of that. Couldn't quite get it to open, but I have a nice thin spot that I'm then going to go in and just attach a blow tube and blow this open right here. So there we have it, tiny little pinhole. I'm going to open it up. Again, if you flare this too much, you're going to disrupt that outer edge and it's not going to fit back in the joint. Adding a little earplug so I can have air pressure for this seal. And I'm using 9.5 because it's smaller, and I'm doing a tiny little seal to the bottom of the joint here. Just getting exactly what I need hot to do this attachment. No more, no less. Little puff. Expand the seal a little bit. Throw it on the roller. Get it straight. And you can see here there's a little haze. That seal isn't perfect, so I give it a little test, wiggle on it. I'm going to go back in and I'm just going to work it just a little bit more to make sure it doesn't come off. Just a little more heat. Get it nice and straight. If you can work on center, this is going to transfer through this whole piece. The bull push, everything here is on center, which is really convenient when working off the roller. So now I'm going to begin shaping. So I'm adding most of my heat into the thicker part of the tubing here, and the heat's going to transfer into that little thin taper that I pulled down. So I'm focusing most of my heat into the big factory wall for this maneuver here. Then I'm going to use the marber here to just kind of give this a little flat bottom, give it some real sharp edge, nice looking shape. You can see there is going to be the base of the slide. So here, instead of just jumping to the front, I'm actually going to take this middle section, get it hot, blow it out, and tug it just a little bit to even out that wall. If you left a little factory section in the middle there, you might not have great wall flow through the piece. So I'm just making sure everything's real even, and I'm running my flame through the whole section of tubing and getting a nice even wall weight. And there I just kind of preset the top of the bowl. I'm not going to the finished shape, I'm just kind of getting it close. And then I'll rip off the handle and I will do the final shape. But here the idea was just to get it close. You can kind of see down in there the wall weight showing itself. The opaque tubing, sometimes it's hard to see the wall weight, but in time you'll just kind of figure out what's there. You can feel it in your hand, you know kind of the material you're starting with, you know the saturation of the dichroic or the thickness of the lines if you're using a classic style vac stack, and eventually you just kind of get a feel for what's there. So now I'm rounding out the top. And I'm actually going to thin this out a little bit more than the back. The theory behind this is I'm then going to push a bowl into that bulb, and it's going to double back on itself at the top. So I'm going to take that little thinner wall and almost double it up when I push that bowl back in there. So here's a great little trick. It's popping a hole on center off a roller with a hand torch, and I'm actually shooting my flame past the front of the glass, not directly into it, and this allows you just to heat just a perfect little spot on center. And I'm connected with a blow hose, and there you can see I added air pressure and blew out the hole. There it is. So now I'm going to add my heat base in to push the bowl. I have a 5/8 bowl push there. Griffin glass tools, it's available on the site. It's my favorite size. 5/8 is really versatile. You can go deeper or shallower. It's a great little trick for pushing bowls on center right here. And you can see how that wall weight kind of doubled back on itself. And now everything's looking real nice and even in there. Now we got a sexy little full colored slide here. Always scrub the chill marks out of your bowl. Alright, next I'm just going to add some clear dots, some magno dots. What these are going to do is magnify the dichroic underneath. I like the clear dot on the dichroic because it acts as a magnifier, and it magnifies the dichroic that you put it on and almost gives it a marble effect, to where it's cooler, in my opinion, than maybe putting some color on there. The old clear magno dot. I'm going to do one on each side here. And then I'm always heating the piece I'm working on in the back of the flame as I'm dumping the heat into the clear rod to add the dot. Just ripping hot, whip it on there. Keep that heat base in the clear and should flow together pretty easily. So now I got two big magno dots directly across from each other. When you look down in there, it magnifies the dichroic and it looks really cool. Been out of the kiln, so I'm using an annealing flame just to kind of heat it up. Had a little haze underneath on that real flat part above the joint. So I'm just going to go in and clean it up. Before you put anything in the kiln, you always want to do a little once over. Look for haze, look for tool marks, look for chill marks. And there I burned out the haze, and I'm just giving it a last little straighten out, just using the tip of the torch to kind of get it where it needs to be. So now that we have a haze-free, chill mark-free, tool mark-free piece, we're going to rip it off and slap it in the kiln. This is real important here that you don't disrupt that outer wall. There's two ways to do this. Normally I would just leave it and saw cut it and lap it, but for this video I'm going to show this technique too for the people who don't have a lap wheel and a wet saw. All you do is come in and just pick that hole out. What I do like about the lap wheel technique is you get a bigger hole. There's no constriction here. There's going to be a little constriction from the sidewalls coming in. When you go in with a saw and just cut that off, it opens the whole way, which is good for a slide to have maximum airflow. So I would prefer to use the saw in the lap, but this works as well. And then just one little last fit with the brass tool. You don't want to spin it too much or you will scratch the glass. And then one last check with the glass tool. And there we have it. Watermelon full color slide. Gonna slap that in the kiln. Hey, what's up? So here's some finished product. Here's the piece I made in the video. Noticed it was a little long once I put it in the joint. So in the video I showed how to open this hole just by picking it, but I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to cut that little bit off hanging in there. So it opens it up a little bit more like this, and it fits in there nice and flush. And you can see these joints fit really good. Lock up. Nice big hole for airflow when you cut it open. Here's a transparent one that was just picked open. That came out pretty good. Has a nice big hole. Nice airflow. You can see the wall weight's fairly even there. Hangs out of the bottom of the joint a little bit. No big deal. But fun little slides using that Griffin glass tool, male joint forming tool. You can see nice big hole for airflow. This one's a little less shaping, a little less intricate, but still pretty cool. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one.